Hi, everyone, and welcome to How to Write Performance Reviews. This is a quick refresher on how to write those reviews. So there's going to be two parts to this refresher. First, I'm going to talk to you about how to set yourself up for success throughout the whole year, what you can do to make writing reviews a lot easier when it comes time. And then the second half is how to structure the review itself. So first of all, feedback philosophy. Throughout the whole year, always think about one, everyone needs to know what to do, how they're performing, and where they're headed. So at any given point of time, all of your employees should know if they're doing well, if they're not doing well, where they excel, where they're struggling. Those conversations should always be ongoing because feedback and coaching are given on an ongoing basis. So no surprises during review season. Concept of judgment versus behaviors. There are things that people do, and there are things that we think about what people do. So many times we'll say that people need to work on their communication skills, or they're being disrespectful, or we even say, hey, good job, keep up the great work. The words that you see bolded on the left, they're more judgments, they're opinions, they're debatable, and sometimes they can be like a personal attack on that person's character. So if someone were to go up to you and say, hey, you're being disrespectful, that hurts a bit, right? And then you feel like that label follows you for a long time. And when people call you things like that, you may like close off a little bit and you're not open to collaboration. So you want to try to stay away from those words. If you happen to need to use those type of words, always have some concrete evidence to support what you mean. So you want to focus more on behaviors, facts, things that you observe, things that you heard people say, things that could be seen on a security camera, essentially, right? Facts are basically hard to debate against, and it's easy to pinpoint those behaviors. And also it's easier to change those behaviors because you're agreeing on the same behavior that needs to be addressed. Next, when you think about judgments versus behaviors, you want to kind of ask yourself, what did the person do to make me think that they are lazy, that they are disengaged, that they did a great job? What did they do? What are those behaviors? And when you're addressing them via verbal communication or feedback, or even on a written review, you want to focus on those behaviors, what they did. So for example, let's take a look at these behaviors or judgments and let me know if they're a behavior or judgment. So first one, I would like for you to push your team harder and get stronger results. Is that a judgment or is that a behavior? Those are judgments. What does push your team harder mean or get stronger results mean? Does it mean, hey, I want you to make $5,000 this week, or I want you to hit 12K in 2 quarters, whatever it may be? What are those metrics? The second feedback statement, what I'd like to see from you is more mastery in your work. You can also work on your executive presence. This is also a judgment. It's not specific enough to be a behavior. More mastery in your work, executive presence. What does that mean? Does that mean I want you to go to Banana Republic and buy suits and wear high heels at work? Or does it mean I want you to be more curious, ask questions in the meetings versus telling people what to do, right? Here's the BIR feedback model. When you are giving feedback to people, or when you're writing reviews, self-reviews, or even performance reviews for others, you want to follow this model. You want to let them know what was the exact behavior that you're addressing. May it be something positive or something negative. What is the impact that this behavior of theirs had on the team, on the organization, on the project, and so on? And what's your request of them? Is it something that you want them to continue doing, or do you want them to do something different moving forward? So that's the BIR model. So for example, take a look to see if these feedback statements follow BIR. For example, first one is, I sense a bit of ambiguity in the communication strategy, which might lead to misunderstandings down the line. So does this follow BIR? No. So let's take a look why. So ambiguity in the communication strategy. That's a bit of a judgment. It's a bit vague. What is the ambiguity exactly? What did this person do to cause this ambiguity, right? Lead to misunderstandings down the line. That's somewhat of an impact. You can even go into more details of how it impacted the team, the organization, or even some relationships. And then this is missing a request. What do you want this person to do moving forward instead? Let's take a look at the second statement. Your presentation could be more polished. Maybe you can work on polishing it a bit more. Come on now, this one is not so good. Polish, what does polish mean? Do you want them to make less grammatical and spelling errors on their presentation, or do you want it to be brighter, more colorful? What does polish mean? You can work on it being polishing it a bit more. That is a request, but it's a very vague request, right? So vague requests end up with vague results as well. So be a bit more specific of what you want from them. This is also missing the impact. Why is it important to have a polished presentation? And what does polished look like? Okay. Next is to document. This is another thing that you can do throughout the whole year to set yourself up for success during review season. Document, document, document. What do I mean by this? So after any performance conversation with your employees, you want to document the conversation. For example, some companies have an actual documentation that you can fill out, others don't. So what you can do if you don't have a formal document, you can email the person after that conversation and summarize the discussion and add in any action items that y'all agreed on. Why do we do this? Two reasons why. First, it creates alignment. When you send out this email recap and talk about the action items and you end the email with, do you agree? You allow the employee to respond by saying, yes, I do, I agree. This is what I agree to do moving forward. Or they can be like, no, I did not agree with this. I thought we agreed to do something else instead, XYZ. So it creates that alignment to make sure everyone's on the same page. The second reason why you want to document and send a follow-up email is that it shows proof of the conversation. It shows proof that it happened, and that's important. I'll share you a story why this is important. So every once in a while, I'll be called in to do an HR investigation for a client. And there's one particular client where there was a former employee who was terminated. And this terminated employee filed a claim with the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, stating that they were wrongfully terminated based on their race. Anytime any company gets a formal EEOC complaint, it gets scary a bit. So I go in, I do investigation. Every single time I do investigation, I always look at the employee's file first. So I ask them, what's in the employee's file? And guess what? There's nothing. There is no indication that there was any type of performance pattern that occurred on this employee who was terminated. The only document was the slip that said that he was terminated due to poor work performance. So as a continued investigation, I talked to the manager, asked him what happened. He says, yeah, I talked to this employee so many times about his performance. He needed to correct his behavior, needed to correct his performance. He didn't do it. That's why I terminated him. But there's no documentation. I asked the terminated employee, hey, what happened? He says, I have no idea. No one ever talked to me about my performance. I assume no news with good news. I am surprised that I got terminated. So who's telling the truth? We have no idea, right? So if there was documentation by the manager, then it would show proof that the conversation occurred. But since we didn't, we had to do a bit more digging and investigating. So documenting helps show proof. It also helps cover your bases. It just makes things easier so that you can see performance patterns happening. So always document. And I recommend anytime you send this email recap, just put a little folder and put all the email recaps in a folder so that you can open up that folder when it comes review season. At the end of the day, no surprises. Employees should know what to expect during the performance review. They should know what they're good at already, what they need to excel at and be better at. So the reviews is just a formalized process of what they already know. All right, so writing the reviews. First, before you write your reviews, make sure you gather data. Gather all the supporting data to support your feedback. You can look at self-reviews, peer reviews, previous performance reviews, just as a little reference, performance metrics that have been set, same thing as goals and objectives that have been set during that review period. Of course, all the documentation that you have on the employee. You can also ask dotted line managers or people that work with the employee, like internal clients that work directly with them, if applicable. Just be very careful on what information that you receive. Sometimes you can get that information just to support the data that you already have yourself. Once you have all that data, how do you structure your comments? How much emphasis do you have on positive comments versus constructive comments? So I like to use the stop, start, continue method. What you want to do is be as balanced as possible on both positive and also constructive areas. So you can ask yourself, what is this employee doing that you would like for them to continue doing? So these are behaviors that you appreciate, that it's positively impacting the business and the team. So what are those 2 to 3 things that they should continue doing? And put it in BIR feedback model. And then also, what should the employee stop doing because it's ineffective or negatively impacting the business? Think of maybe 2 or 3 things there as well. And what should the employee start doing instead? So what should they stop doing, but do something else instead? Or what they can do to be even more effective, and put it in BIR model. So let's give some examples here, a couple of more slides. So on the left-hand side of the screen, take a look at this and see why it is not as effective. In the past review period, you have consistently demonstrated strong performance as software engineer. Your technical skills are impressive and your contributions have significantly benefited our projects. You have shown reliability and a positive attitude, effectively collaborating with team members and consistently meeting deadlines. So this sounds like AI wrote this, which AI did write it, but it sounds very vague, very vague. There's not exact behaviors, like concrete evidence of what the employee did, right? So it's full of judgments. It's missing impact and also request as well. So how can we make it more meaningful? So on the right-hand side of the screen, whatever is in bold is what has been changed. So expertise in coding and debugging, it's a bit more specific on the behavior. Even more specific is that the project was done ahead of schedule. We can add the impact in. This allowed us to launch sooner than expected, and we surpassed the revenue goal. So that's the impact to the team, to the company. And then you got to add a request. Keep it up, keep up, continue collaborating, helping the team out. Let's do one more example and we're done. So here's an example of a start or stop, right? So on the left-hand side of the screen, not so good. Over the past review period, there have been several concerns regarding your performance as a customer service representative. For example, we received 2 complaints from customers on your lack of empathy when they didn't receive their shipments. Your punctuality has also been problematic, with several instances of tardiness and absenteeism affecting the team productivity. It is crucial to address these areas to improve your overall performance. So what's missing here? It's missing an impact. I mean, they talk about productivity, but we can add more to it. And it's missing the request. What do you want them to do instead? What do you want them to start doing instead? So let's talk about how to make it more meaningful. So what you see bolded, this resulted in 2 lost customer accounts. That's a much more powerful impact that you can add. And what's your request? I would love for you to, moving forward, ours, first apologize to the customer. And if you feel unable to handle it, reach out to me. So you're showing your support, but you're also asking and requesting them to do this. So that's it. That is how to write the performance reviews. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a line. I'm at Jessie, Jesse, @feedlearning.com. Thanks. Bye.